out and about. We're here with Dave Austin of Bridgestone Media. Bridgestone Media is a Christian film distributor, and for those of you who don't quite understand the process, the distributor gets the films into the marketplace. So can you tell us a little bit more about that to help non-media people basically understand what you're doing?
Absolutely. Well, we partner with independent filmmakers, primarily faith-based or family-friendly movies. We've been doing that for about 30 years now. And our job is to get the movies seen and hopefully get them monetized as well. You know, it's wonderful to make family-friendly or faith-based movies and get them out there and have a spiritual impact. But ideally, a lot of these filmmakers also want to have that be their business and be their livelihood. So they lean on us to be able to monetize those films, get back revenue from them, and then hopefully be able to fund their next film and the next one after that. So we love building relationships with those independent filmmakers, growing along with them and helping them get their message out and again kind of earn a living at what they love to do and their kingdom building work.
Dave comes from a mainstream business background, working at Glidden Paint Company originally, and moving up through various different positions, and just last year was promoted to basically the head of merchandising for Bridgestone Media, so this is a big opportunity. Dave is in Grand Rapids, so he's from West Michigan, or you are from West Michigan, correct?
Actually, I'm kind of from all over. I'm a military brat, and so yeah, like you said, I kind of started my business career in the coatings industry, working for people like Glidden and Sherwin-Williams, and then moved to West Michigan about 20 years ago to head up marketing for family Christian stores. I did that for about 10 years, and I'm in starting my 15th year with Bridgestone now. So.
And you were recently promoted to the head of like the merchandising and development.
They called me a chief commerce officer, so I'm head of acquisitions, sales, and marketing. So everything that's not the financial operations in the business. And really kind of what I've been doing all along. We'll just continue to grow, so it's a bit on a larger scale than it has been on the past.
And what would you basically tell non-media types to encourage them to support Christian movies? A lot of people basically don't watch them because they think they're cheesy, but what could you say to encourage people about Christian movie industry in general?
Well, it certainly has evolved in the time that I've been involved with it, between the family Christian stores time and at Bridgestone. Yeah, there very much has been a stereotype that if you have kind of your overtly evangelical movie that's got a call to Christ in it, and there's certainly still those movies being made and made very well, but there's also a much broader, Christian film and family film market that just provides uplifting, inspirational entertainment. If you want to kind of get your feet wet in it without, I don't know if I want to, make a trip to a theater to see a Christian movie or not, our company has a channel called Encourage TV. You can watch it on YouTube, Roku, all those kinds of connected devices. It's free. It's just an ad-supported channel, and you can kind of dive in and experience kind of a broad range of faith-based and family-friendly entertainment there. See if you like it, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
And what would you say is your personal mission or goal that you're hoping to achieve with Bridgestone?
My personal goal was always to find a place where I could intersect my business skills and grow the kingdom at the same time. And starting with family Christian stores, I was able to begin to do that. And through that time there, I found that I really loved Christian media, and the music and the movies piece of the business is what really attracted me. So I kind of morphed over into what's a sweet spot for me. I'm personally moved, spiritually and then entertained by films, and I want to help other people experience that same thing.
And are there any really big victories that you're excited about or what you see God doing just in general?
Well, I really see them growing the footprint for faith-based movies. One of the exciting things that's come out of kind of the digital revolution, so to speak, is, in a typical year when most people relied on either going to the theaters or buying a DVD to see a movie, the impact of a faith-based movie was, maybe it's measured in the hundreds of thousands. Well, now on general market platforms, we're able to put, a Christian-based movie like something like Tubi TV or Pluto or something. Literally millions of people are seeing the movie on a monthly basis. So the impact for the kingdom is tremendous. awareness through that process.
So you're really seeing a substantial change then because of streaming platforms?
Absolutely, yeah, and it gives the filmmakers other places where they're able to monetize their films as well, and hopefully be able to recoup their investment and make the next film have an even greater impact.
And are they making substantial impact into like the big platforms like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and all those?
Absolutely. The vast majority of our films you'll find on Amazon Prime or their other streaming platforms called IMDb TV. It's a little tougher to get on the Hulus and Netflix. They make a lot of their own content. They tend to look for theatrical level releases, so there is some faith and family content on there, but not as much as you'll find on some of those other platforms.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to join us. Josh and I are going to get started and hopefully plant some seeds that'll initiate some questions later. We'll do a little Q&A before we get done talking. I'm going to speak a little bit about filmmaking from the distributor side of the table, what it is that we're looking for, some things that you can do in the filmmaking process that'll hopefully make your film more marketable, more saleable. Because the goal is not to make one movie, but to make one movie, have it recoup, make your next one, and so on down the line. So there's some pitfalls that independent filmmakers run into that we see quite a bit. The space that I deal in, we see a lot of dramas, a lot of redemptive dramas, which are wonderful, but they tend to be made in a very heavy fashion. And people want to be entertained, even if you're doing a drama, and we will find a way to make folks laugh in addition to making them cry within the film. Lighten it up as much as you can, because hopefully people want to walk away from the screen, whether it's in their house or in a theater, feeling good and uplifted about the story and not feeling, weighted down by it. Lower budget productions is the music can have a significant impact on the movie. And it doesn't have to be licensing, hit songs, but just a good quality soundtrack that is sprinkled throughout the production and not so sporadic. If you watch a movie without a soundtrack, it will seem a lot slower to you. It seems like a smaller movie, so that's one of the things to pay attention to as you're consuming entertainment, the kind of impact that the music has on the production and how it makes you feel. And that's an area that gets overlooked a bit within the productions that are lower budget. Feature films versus episodic content, and depending on which day you ask Josh or I, you may get a different answer on that. I tend to lean towards saying, again, talking about lower budget productions, that you're probably better off with a feature film. I think you've got a better chance to hit and recoup with that, but there is always a hunger in the marketplace for both. And it's just a matter of where you're going to place the film and what you're going to compete against and so forth. Please, please, please don't make your movie in a vacuum. Again, on limited resources, many of you have to wear multiple hats, if not all the hats, right? You're the screenwriter, you're the producer, you're the director, you're in the movie, etc. Your mom's in the movie, right on down the line. And you can't afford to bring in all these professionals. Bring in as many as you can. But if there's only one professional that you can bring in outside of yourself to help you with the movie, my recommendation is bring in an outside editor. Because you have put blood, sweat, and tears into this movie, writing it, shooting it, acting in it. You know how much time and effort it took to shoot this particular scene. An editor might watch your movie and let's say it's 105 minutes long and he sees that scene and it's like, no, that just doesn't work. And he can cut it and drop it on the floor. There's no way you're going to do that. You're going to be like, oh gosh, I know I spent 4 days doing that scene. I can't edit that out of the film. So that would be the best place to invest. I always say it's almost impossible to call your own baby ugly. And an editor will do that for you. They need to be detached. And the editor can't be your brother or your mom either, because they're going to have the same attachment to it as you will. So very important. Certainly do not get stuck on theatrical release of your film, especially these days. The theatrical market is a nightmare right now with the pandemic. But even outside of that, theatrical releases are very much a crapshoot.
unless it's a big studio release, most of them are disastrous financially. The big thing that comes out of them from a positive standpoint is you get a lot of marketing around the film that people might get exposed to even though they don't go and see it. And because it produces certain box office numbers, it becomes more attractive to perhaps sell to a Netflix or Hulu or some other major platform. But the cost of doing that is significant. You know, it's thousands of dollars per screen. And people envision that the distributors are like, oh yeah, I'll take your movie and take it out theatrically. So the distributor is like, do you have P&A money, which is print and advertising money? Basically, you're funding the theatrical release. So when someone's out raising money for a relatively large budget film, they're raising P&A money at the same time. Often the P&A money exceeds the production budget of the film. So you might make a $5 million film and raise $5 or $7 million in P&A to promote the film theatrically. So yeah, it's one of those worlds that, you know, again, I'm generalizing. There are success stories, but there's a lot more nightmare stories around the actual releases where they didn't accomplish the box office numbers or the marketing that they were hoping for, and they spent a ton of money to the point of, you know, bankrupting the filmmaker that envisioned his film was, you know, the next Oscar winner or whatever. And kind of the same thing applies for these other big platforms. Everybody used to, oh, the holy grail was Walmart. Okay, great, we still put films in Walmart. But Walmart, for the most part, is a consignment vendor. Hey, oh yeah, I like your film, ship me 20,000 units. They have it on the shelf for a week and a half. It doesn't move, they pull them off, they ship them back to you. Okay, what are you going to do with those 20,000 DVDs? Have fun with those. Netflix, same thing, very much an ego play. These days for an indie film, if you can get Netflix to be interested in it, most of the time they're sub six-figure numbers that they're tossing back. So somebody might have done a $300,000 or $400,000 film, and Netflix said, yeah, absolutely, that's exactly what we're looking for. We'd like to have North American streaming exclusivity for the next 2 years, and we'll give you $40,000 for that. A film would make $40,000 on Tubi, advertising platform in 3 months probably. So don't get stuck on those things either. Work with the distributor, understand maybe where the best place is to place your film to monetize it, get a good return on investment. Unless your goal was, I want to make a movie so I can get it on Netflix, so I can tell everybody and their mother that I have a film on Netflix, great. If you have the money to do that and you don't necessarily have to recoup your production funds, okay, then make that your goal, and let the distributor advise on the best way to go about doing that is. So the Netflixes or Pureflixes or people like that in the world that have subscribers and they're going to pay a flat fee to license your movie for a certain number of years, maybe exclusive, maybe non-exclusive. And then kind of the up-and-comer is AVOD, which is advertising-based video on demand. And imagine a lot of you are familiar with platforms like Pluto TV, Tubi, to some degree you can kind of lump Amazon Prime into that group, IMDb TV. They're all places where you can go watch movies for free and you get to see ads. It's kind of come full circle back to the old network days, right? But great entertainment on there. High quality movies, everything from low budget indies to, $30 million, $40 million movies, and you just have to suffer through some advertising. There are a number of those platforms, and they've been so successful that almost every one of them that started off kind of as an indie venture has been bought by one of the big media companies. Fox has bought one, and Viacom has bought one, and so forth. And if you didn't buy one, Paramount Plus just started up. They're all doing it, Apple TV, you name it. Everybody's kind of getting into this ad-based version of streaming video on demand, and frankly, millennial generation loves that and want to pay for a bunch of subscriptions. We'll suffer through the ads. Or it's like my 30-something daughter says, oh great, most of the ads are stacked right at the beginning. We just turn the movie on, we go to the kitchen, grab our pop and make our popcorn, and by the time the ads are over, and boom, then we watch the movie. And so that is an outstanding source of revenue for indie film in particular, because there's numerous platforms that it can monetize. There's certain genres that do extremely well on those where, a movie that's sub $100,000 budget literally could make millions of dollars over a couple of years and ad revenue off of those platforms. So those are kind of the places the film can monetize. So I think that's it for me. I probably did a full half hour, didn't I?
Well, certainly, again, the industry continues to evolve. It got a huge push towards, streaming got a huge push in the back with the pandemic, and that you had a certain group of people who were maybe not as tech savvy, who steered away from streaming platforms or were somewhat forced into learning it through Zoom calls and smart TVs and so forth. But also with the theaters shut down, you had major theatrical releases that were going direct to the consumer through streaming platforms. And that really kind of changed the whole paradigm, so to speak. So now a movie can go out direct to the consumer, or a very popular move now is to have it go out that they call day and date with a streaming platform, let's say like HBO Max, and being in the theaters at the same time. So if you want to go have the theater experience and have your popcorn and all that, fantastic. But if you'd rather just gather the family around on the sofa in your own living room on Friday evening on debut day, you can do that as well. So I think that's a real, again, plus for the consumer, and it's a big plus for the filmmakers as well.
We're hoping to have Dave in studio for Faith Forward, since Dave lives right here in Grand Rapids, and that's our in-studio show for Allendale Christian Media. So thank you, Dave, and we look forward to seeing the various pitches and seeing what God is doing in this. So
You as well. Thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
thank you, Dave.
Thank you.